What's up, y'all? Welcome to the DJ Kenny Parker Show. We do this every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I hope everybody's doing well on this Tuesday evening. Peace to Don Dallas TV. I haven't seen you in a while in here. Spook Round 4Q, of course. What's good on an early check-in? Thank you for talking about the book. Gregory Nettis, what up? Papa Sincere, what's good? Gregory Nettis says, RIP to all the MCs who didn't get to enjoy 50 years of hip-hop. And there's a bunch of them. Word. Yes, respect to all the MCs that we lost. I want to send a get well out to my man, Big Zulu Jeff. He's in the hospital. Keep your head up, Zulu Jeff, my dude, forever. Also, I want to give a shout out to DJ Chuck Chill Out. Get well soon. Haitian Space Program, what's up? Ed Olivier, what's up? This is interesting. I saw this. Ed Olivier. Kenny, what's up? Did you watch the Nori interview with Buju? No, I didn't. Buju, big up KRS, acknowledge another GOAT, one GOAT acknowledging another GOAT. That's dope. KRS did a lot to integrate reggae music and hip hop. That is big time. Shout out to the great Buju. Sugar Daddy One Williams, what's good? Terrence Hill, what's good, Kenny, in the chat room? Pat did that, what's good? He says, yo, DJ Kenny Parker, I'm off from a meeting early on a Tuesday. Yes, glad you can come in on the check-in. Terrence Hill, you should start accepting call-ins. I don't know. I mean, I would have to set that up somehow, and then that would be a lot of people calling in with a lot of conversation. I don't know, maybe. Supreme Divine, what's up? Dan Marazuti, peace from Scarborough, Canada. We got the regulars in here. JT, Firebird Phoenix, what's good? Haven't seen you in here in a while. Benny Doyle, what's up? E-Money, Rod Justice Hip Hop, FU2, I see a lot of regulars. Terrell McMillan, Eric Best, Neville Pitts, I haven't seen that name. What's up? A Steele, Jalil. A lot of people on the check-in, man. Earl Green, salute DJ Kenny Parker all the way from Durham, North Carolina. We used to do a lot of shows in Durham. Nicholas Gilmore, Ilroy, James Brown. That's were you named after D. James Brown? I think I asked you that before. Buffalo. Derek Mallory, Minneapolis, St. Paul. Wow, shout out from there. Riding Dirty Face. Big up. I love some of these names, man. Corey Lindsay, Rosmel, that's regular in the house. Dan Marazuti says also Get Well Shortcut. Yes, Get Well DJ Shortcut. Rhythm Blues Preservation Society, what's up? Okay, let's see if I can butcher your name. Don Guapissimo? Yo, did Australia represent the culture in the Olympics? Are you talking about the female breakdancer that was all over everybody's timeline? Yes, she represented what she represented. She will go down in infamy. Gen X King, what's up? MMA Crossfire, always a pleasure. This is interesting. Danelle, the Don Freeman. Yo, KP, what's good? Yo, Kenny, Chris is the most simple MC by far. Simple, what do you mean by simple? Actually, I think KRS is very complicated, actually. Mr. C says, KP Peaks, can't wait to hear the club stories. Man, I have so many club stories. Oh my God. I don't even want to bore you guys, but I was a real party animal in the 80s and 90s mostly. Corey Flood, what's up? MMA Crossfire says Canada won the gold medal in breaking. Was it Canada that won the gold medal? I didn't get a chance to watch the most of the Olympics. I just saw some of the highlights. But the men's competition of the breaking looked crazy. Some of them dudes, I was like, man, these dudes look like they're gonna break their arms or their necks. Damon Clark, Kenny, where do you put Whodini in the ranking of hip hop? That's a tough question because in their time, they were a top 3 group. You're looking from when they dropped, like 84, somewhere around there. From like 84, they had a strong run from like 84 to like 86, 87, from like 84 to 87, something like that. They were like a top 3 group. It was Run DMC, the Fat Boys, Whodini, LL Cool J. And then the Beastie Boys came. Some other groups came down the pike. Curtis Blow was there, but Whodini was huge in their era. They were a big group. Shout out to them. I met Jalil, the rapper Jalil, once. I met Ecstasy a couple of times. Rest in peace to Ecstasy. And of course, Grandmaster D is my dog. I hope to get him on the channel one day. Grandmaster D, what's good? Brooklyn in the house. Yeah, but shout out to the Whodini crew. Benny Dog, Kennedy, did you ever play with or against Alamo in N1? No, I never played against. The only person I played against from those N1 mixtapes was Half Man, Half Amazing. The original Half Man, Half Amazing. They called them Biz. Derek Mallory says, happy 33rd anniversary to Cypress Hill's self-titled debut album, best, dopest album ever made. Shout out to Cypress Hill. Yeah, that was an incredible album. They put the Latinos big on the map. And they're all great brothers. Shout out to Be Real. I've mentioned this on this chat that I got to hang out with Sendog. I was on my way to a club in Times Square and bumped into Sendog. Cypress Hill was in town, and I took him with me to the club. We ended up having a good old night, man. So shout out to Cypress Hill, yes. Michael from Martis, what's good, KP? Oh, I wanted to mention this too. Someone last week was talking about, did I see the LL Cool J segment? He had Salute the Sample, and did I see the part when they played KRS-One's song? And I was saying that I did not see that segment. And but I was like, it's all love with LL Cool J. Him and KRS go back to the Latin Quarter days, and every time I've ever seen LL, it's been nothing but love. I actually got to chill with LL on a plane ride from New York to LA, 5 hours, me and him just talking about hip hop. It was great. And so I was, basically I was saying it was all good. Then I went and watched the video. And I stand corrected, y'all. Apparently, based on this video, there is some conflict between LL Cool J and KRS-One. I've not spoken to Chris about it, but it's almost undeniable for those of you that's seen the video. I mean, they're doing a breakdown of classic samples, and then the people who use the samples in hit records. And they got to the song Champ, and they played Champ. LL was very lively through this whole thing, talking, and talking about the samples. And then the DJ Z-Trip played Step Into a World. And LL's whole demeanor changed. And for the whole time, it was like 2 minutes that they played the song, LL would not speak. And Greg Nice was the other guest host. And he was even talking about the song and trying to include LL. And LL would not say anything. His whole demeanor changed. And right after they cut that song off and played the next song, LL came back to life. So based on that, I will withdraw my comment from last week and say there is something going on with LL Cool J and KRS-One. I don't know what it is. I know Chris have talked trash on LL over the years, but I look at it as just, two MCs talking trash, like nothing serious. Like two ball players in the park. I'm about to give it to you. No, you're not. I'm about to give it to you. Just dudes talking, but I never thought it was anything more than that. I've never heard Chris say anything derogatory about LL when I was around. Just, nothing but love and respect. I've seen them chill. I mean, like I said, there's a picture online of KRS-One, Scott LaRock, and LL in Latin Quarters. There's a picture of them in the studio working on a song. I think it was the Heel record. There's a picture of them a few years back having dinner together. I thought it was all good. But when I saw this video, when y'all get a chance, check out, it's called, I look at it right, Salute the Sample. I think it's part 2 with LL Cool J. I'm curious to know what that was all about because there's definitely something going on. So yeah, that was on my mind. I just wanted to get that out there. Kennard Roberts, what's good? Engage VR YouTube channel says, hit that like button for Kenny. That's right. Thank you so much, you guys. If you get a chance, please hit the like button. I guess it helps the algorithm so that more people can see the videos and enjoy the channel. MMA Crossfire says Snoop Dogg and Flavor Flav, I guess he meant Flavor Flav, I'm not sure, were the MVPs of the Olympics. I read that Snoop Dogg got $500,000 a day plus expenses to be out there. $500,000 a day. Ridiculous. Shout out to Snoop. Get that money. Corey Flood, can he tell a club story? Man, I'd have to think about that. Oh my goodness, how many clubs? I mean, a lot of my epic fails have club stories in them. And is this a club story pertaining to? You got to be more specific. Let me think about that. Tell a club story, because is it like something I saw with another rapper? Is it a brawl? I've seen plenty of those performances. I don't know. That's a good one. I'll have to get back to you on that one, but yeah. E Money says United States got bronze. Bronze is something they created. Well, the rest of the world's catching up, man. Maybe the next time they have breaking in the Olympics, which is not going to be, they say it's not going to be in 2028. So maybe 2032, maybe in 8 years from now, New York, America will step up. Charles 13X, what's good? He says KRS is not simple. He just makes it look easy and effortless. I would agree with that. Corey Lindsay says, Kenny Parker, did you talk to Tresh on your interview yet? No, I have not. That's the homie, too. I would love to talk to Tresh. And Vinny and KG. Let me do my Benny Doyle scroll down. Neville Pitt says, you're really in tune to us as your fans, because I swear I wondered if you remember me because I've been hella busy and I've only been able to check in here and there. Respect and appreciate Big Bro. Yes, I come on here every week, so I'm very aware of the names that I see. By the way, thank you guys so much for just hanging out with me on a Tuesday. I mean, we don't have any format on this show. We just be talking about whatever. And I recognize names of the regulars. Thank you so much, regulars, for coming on. This is interesting. Nicholas Gilmore says, Whodini is up there with the greatest. Original music, no samples, carried hip-hop further. I don't think people mention enough the production of Larry Smith. Larry Smith was one of the most incredible producers in hip-hop history in the early days. He produced Run DMC and Whodini and had two completely different sounds, and both of them were incredible. He was doing all the rock stuff at Run DMC. He did Rock Box and the King of Rock and all of that. And then he turned around and was doing like The Freaks Come Out at Night and Friends and all that for Whodini. Original music, this guy Larry Smith was absolutely incredible. And I don't think he gets mentioned enough. Shout out to him. But yes, Whodini was and is a great group. Nicholas Gilmore says, love Funky Beat. Funky Beat was crazy. Crazy. 49 Neil says, yo, Kenny, what's good? Have you ever played football, whether organized or street ball? Never played football in my life. I'm a one-sport person. I only played basketball. I did street promotions for Love You Better by LL in New York City. It was a great summer. Yes, I saw LL. That was a big record in New York, by the way. I saw LL perform at Manhattan Center when that song was out. Me and my man Willie D, rest in peace, Willie D from BDP. We went to Manhattan Center to see LL Cool J. And I remember Idris Elba was outside. I saw Idris Elba. I don't know him, but I saw him walking past. This is when The Wire was still going on. I saw Idris Elba, and I saw Bumpy Knuckles outside too. I was chilling with Bumpy for a second, and I saw Eric Sermon at that show. You just jogged my memory right there. Abel Valdez, what's good? Catching my second live. Peace. Yes, thank you so much for coming through. Oh, wow. LL still mad because KRS said he was whack. LL also knows he stole T-La Rock whole style and swag. You got that style. I don't know. I would never disrespect LL. LL is to me one of the most underrated rappers ever. I would never disrespect LL. Chris did say in a freestyle he was whack. I remember that. Then he came back and apologized. He didn't mean that. It was just off the top of the head. He was battling some MC kid in the crowd. It's a whole video on that. But I guess I don't know what LL. I don't know what happened, man. But L is not happy. Corey Lindsay said, Kenny Parker, what is your favorite LL Cool J classic jam? That's a tough one. Of course, Rock the Bells go, man. When Rock the Bells was out in New York, that record had New York on a chokehold. Of course, Rock the Bells. Mama Said Knock You Out was hard. To the Break of Dawn was ridiculous. I like, I tell y'all a LL story. I was just starting to work on the Heather B album, 1995. And I was looking at studios. I was with a guy named Charles Dixon. Shout out to Charles Dixon. He's A&R. He was A&R at Pendulum Records where Heather was signed to. Now we went to a studio called Platinum Island in New York. just to look around and see if it was a studio that I might want to use. And we stumbled into a room by accident, and in the room was Rashad Smith of Tumbling Dice, the legendary producer who produced Busta Rhymes. He produced Big. He produced One More Chance. He produced Total, Can't You See? He produced Woo Ha for Busta. Rashad Smith was that dude in the 90s and the 2000s, because he was working with Erykah Badu. That's my man. But he was in there, and LL Cool J was in there. And they were working on the Mr. Smith album. And I stumbled into the room by accident. And I was like, oh, man, sorry, I came in your room. And LL was like, nah, come in. He's like, yo, I want to play you something. And he said, I got this record. It's a guy and a girl going back and forth. It's called Doing It. And he put it up on the big speakers, his big giant speakers hanging on the wall. And it came on. And I recognized the record because Doing It Well used to be a record that Red Alert used to play back in like 88. And the girl who originally did that record, the song was called Wild Thing. The girl who originally did that record, LL brought her back into the studio to do Doing It, a remake. And so LL was like, yo, I want you to hear this record. And so he throws the record on, and LL starts performing the whole record in my ear. So he's like, it's the first hit and good, and I'm feeling kind of horny. Records are, and he's doing the whole record. He's doing his part and the girl's part. He's doing like a whole concert in my ear. And I remember thinking, yo, this record is going to be a hit. I'm like, this is going to be crazy. And they're doing it well. And it was like, I knew that record was going to be dope. And then he's basically like, yo, like, yeah. Because he knew, he was like, he knew I was going to go back and tell Chris, like, yo, LL got one, which I did. I went to Chris. I was like, yo, I was in the studio with LL. He played me something crazy. It's coming. And the song was Doing It, which was one of his biggest records. But he definitely performed that song in my ear in the studio while they were working on it. So the song was done. So I guess they were mixing it or whatever when I came in the room. And Rashad Smith produced that song as well. And he did that song in my ear. I just remembered that. That was crazy. Like I said, LL has always been the homie. That's why I'm very surprised by his reaction. He says, please tell me LL, Benny Doyle says, please tell me LL isn't his feelings over that Pittsburgh freestyle. Yeah, it could be that. It could be the whole thing with the verses when Fat Joe and Chris. I don't know. Listen to me. I don't know. All I know is there is definitely something going on. I'm saying that, and I didn't speak to Chris or LL, but watching this video was crazy. There's definitely something going on. Nicholas Gilmore said, I heard LL on Rock the Bells. He did do that. It was weird energy. Yeah, it was. But the video, you got to see the video is on YouTube. It's called, I'm looking at Salute the Sample. You got to watch the video because you got to see how the energy changed. You got to watch the whole thing because you got to see how he was acting. And as soon as Step Into a World came on, his whole demeanor changed. I was like, wow. MMA Crossfire says, if LL and Ice-T can chop it up, I think it's possible KRS-One. Of course. I did not think there was anything. I did not think it was anything, but it's something, yo. When I talk to Chris, I'm going to see what he says. He's going to be like, man, what are you talking? I know Chris is going to be like, I'm going to show him the video, though. Gen X said, Chris said, everybody think they're bad, but they're bugging in my philosophy. Yes, he did. I'm just going to leave it at that. CMC's Technique. Salute DJ Kenny Parker. Salute. As Don Dallas TV said, Chris once told me to submit my demo to him, but we never did it. You know what's crazy? We used to be on the road, and Chris would get demos, and me and Will would take the demos and we would listen to them on the road, like riding back from shows or going places. We would listen to people's demos, and 99% of them were not good, man. They just were not good. I would say 99%. Every once in a while, you heard something that was like, yo, this is kind of dope. I remember there's a reggae rap group called the Born Jamericans. Does anybody remember the Born Jamericans? We were in DC and they gave us their demo tape, and me and Will was listening to the Born Jamericans. We were like, yo, this might be something. And a year later, they were on TV. DJ J Knights, what up, KP? It could be the heel video that LL may be salty because people got at him for that. But that was 30-something years ago. They've chilled since then. I thought you're right. It could be that. I don't know, man. That he can't be mad over the heel video. There's a picture on YouTube. I think it was taken maybe 4 years ago, with Chris and LL having dinner, and they have a glass of wine and they're holding it up. And I was like, this is nice. What happened? Corey Flood, Kenny, the Fuji's tour has been canceled. Our 90s rap was no longer viable. No, I do believe that I saw it was because Lauryn Hill has some vocal throat problems. Something was going on with her vocals. I think she put out a press release saying that something was going on with her vocals, so she had to cancel. I mean, 90s rappers are still doing a lot of shows all over the world. I mean, I'm sure the Fuji's tour would have been big. But yeah. Orrin Hamilton says, what's happening, Kenny? That's Kenny Parker. I'm a longtime fan. When will Chris and Scott LaRock Jr. kick that beef? I don't know. I mean, that really has nothing to do with me, although my name got dragged in it. And there's definitely more to the story, y'all. But like I said, since KRS has not commented on it, I will not comment on it. But the day that he comments on it, believe me, there's more to that story. Y'all heard one side of that story. And my name got dragged into it, and I have nothing to do with none of it. But I don't know. The answer to that question is I don't know. But if Chris ever comments on it, I would love to comment on that. Yo, Kenny, did Biz ever bless you with any of his Holy Grail vinyls from his collection? No. But what he did give me one time was I was looking for a Jodeci record, Come and Talk to Me, the remix. I think it was one of Puff Daddy's first remixes. And that vinyl was hard to find, and it was gone just like that. And I remember I was looking for that Jodeci remix. It had to be like 93. And I didn't have it. And Biz gave me a copy of the Jodeci Come and Talk to Me remix. The last time I spoke to Biz, which is like 2 months before he went in the hospital, I was supposed to come to his house because he has some 45s that he was going to give me. And then he went into the hospital. So, no, I never got any of his Holy Grail stuff, but I did get to dig through some of his records back in the day. He had everything, man. He had everything. Benny Doyle's laughing. Yeah, that's my new thing. The Benny Doyle. It's the Benny Doyle scroll down now. Speaking of betting dual scroll down, I'm doing that right now. I'm gonna scroll all the way down. This is an interesting question. Hey Kenny, as a producer, how important is the production to an MC status among his peers? Although I love KRS-One, his best picking, I guess that's beat picking, has been less than stellar and does not match his skill, in my humble opinion. Well, that's an interesting question because, first of all, your beat is incredibly important to having a hit record. As we all know, the beat is almost or probably more important than the lyrics as far as making a hit, which makes you have an extended career. So I would say, I don't know if it's status among your peers, but you need, at some point in your career, you need a hot song or you're going to fade out. That's just the music business. Now, to say KRS-One is not the best at picking beats, it depends on what you can. Everyone has their own taste, you know. And it's also what is presented to you at a given time. Let's say you're doing an album and you got 6 months or 8 months, a year, and in this year's time, you're doing an album. In that year's time, whatever beats come across your path in that year's time, that's the pool. And if you don't get, if you're going to pick the best of what you get in a certain period of time. So now, if you didn't get somebody's dopest beat or whatever, who knows? I mean, I've seen KRS work with top-notch producers and not have hits, and I've seen him work with producers that nobody heard of and had hits. So, you know, who knows? I've heard people say the same thing about Nas. Like, I don't know what beat should have been what. Like, you don't. Sometimes certain beats just don't get to you. And sometimes it's just your ear. Sometimes it's just your ear. I mean, that's a tough question. I mean, it's all a matter of opinion to me, but the beats doesn't match his skill. I mean, you can argue that, but that's hard to say. That's a vague statement. The beat doesn't match his skill. I mean, I just think the beat is incredibly important. And I don't know if MCs really take out the time. Like me personally, I wouldn't even come out unless I had the music that I want. But then also you have deadlines too. You have times when your album has to drop. Record company might tell you, we're dropping you in the third quarter of the year. There's 4 quarters in the year, so the third quarter might be, I don't know, summertime. We're dropping you in the third quarter. Your album needs to be done by the third quarter. If it doesn't come out by the third quarter, you're not going to come out again until the following year. That's how they have it organized. So you might be under the gun and you might take the beats that you could get. So I don't know. That's an interesting question. It's a matter of opinion. Great question, though. Let's see. Antoine, where? Whodini definitely does not get their well-deserved recognition. Jalil is one of the best writers throughout music history. SSC is full. Yeah. And I didn't even know. I saw like a TV One special or something that said that Jalil wrote all the songs. Jalil wrote all the lyrics for Whodini, which means basically he was ghostwriting for Ecstasy. So I'll be talking about that ghostwriting, y'all. Ghostwriting is more prevalent than you'd imagine. That's why I say if you're not, in no disrespect to Whodini, because I love Whodini, But if you're gonna diss, I gotta bring up Drake again. If you're gonna say Drake is not real, you're gonna diss Drake for using a ghostwriter, then you gotta diss everybody. If using a ghostwriter is whack for Drake, then it's whack for Whodini. And Jalil wrote all the songs. And now Ecstasy had a great flow and a great delivery. And I think he helped make those records what they were with his voice, his flow, his look, the hat, everything. But at the end of the day, if Jalil wrote all the rhymes based on how you guys see hip hop, some of you guys, then that's whack. I saw a comment. Oh, this is the comment I wanted to get to. Eric Best. I think LL Cool J didn't like what KRS-One said on Fat Joe blog about he will kill LL Cool J in a versus battle and talk a whole lot of shit. Yes, Chris was very aggressive on there. And I think, shout out to Fat Joe. I think Fat Joe was kind of egging it on. And it don't take much to egg on Chris. I know Fat Joe had LL on there too to have the rebuttal. But yeah, that could be the reason. But then again, I just look at that as Chris just talking shit. I don't think it was personal, like I don't like LL or anything. I just Chris talking shit. But maybe that's the reason. Who knows? I hope they work it out. Wow, Charles 13X. As legendary as LL is, he did put out a lot of bullshit too. I mean, bullshit. What do you mean by bullshit? You didn't like it or it was terrible? No artist is gonna have every record be a smash hit. If you could get, LL's had an incredible career, man. If you're an artist and you can get one hit record, you're incredible, man. I don't even want to, I talk about this all the time on this channel about how hard it is to have a hit record. People don't really understand how many things gotta line up and how hard it really is to have one hit record. I saw a stat that says something like 80% of all the albums ever made, all the records ever made, never sold more than 1,000 copies. Most of them never sell more than 250 copies. Most music never sells more than 250 copies. That's not even your high school. That's like your senior class bought your album. If you sell 1,000 copies, you're in the upper 20 percentile of all the records ever made in the past 100 years. So if you have multiple hit records, you are incredible. And for somebody like LL, he has a bunch of huge records. And in the mix to that, he might have maybe some duds. But that's all right, man. If you could catch one, and what's a dud to one person might be incredible to another person. Like for me, I didn't really care for Hey Lover. Hey Lover, this is more than a crush. I didn't really care for that song. It just wasn't for me. That was a platinum single, I do believe. 1 million people bought that record. It wasn't for me, but it was a huge record. So I don't think anything is bullshit. I just think, who is it for? Did it work or did it not work? Because there's bullshit that sells. There's great records that don't sell, and everything in between. I mean, I'd like to do one day. I'd like to really get into my real opinions on that, but I'm not going to go too deep right now. But there's so much that goes into a record being big, man. All the behind the scenes. You see, I've had DJs on here talk, Red Alert, Evil D, talk about payola. You could have a great record, and if you don't pay these DJs, your record will never get heard, and you'll get dropped, and you was whack, and your record could have been dope. And vice versa, you could have a whack record, and if you pay, people might hear it and might think you're dope. It's a whole bunch that goes into it. So to say he put out a lot of bullshit, I don't know about that. He may have put out stuff that wasn't for you. But LL's had one of the great careers of all time, and he just got inducted to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, which is the biggest honor an artist can get, and I think it's well deserved. Yo, folks 3, thank you so much for your contribution to the channel. I really appreciate it. He says, happy early born day, 20th to the teacher KRS-One. Yes, KRS-One's birthday is on August 20th. MMA Crossfire said the Booming System. I forgot about Booming System. Booming System was banging. That's what Booming System was banging. L's had some bangers, man. User unknown says Jack the Ripper. I guess they're talking about LL's big records. He's had a bunch of them, man. This is funny. In that battle that KRS had, this was the controversy because he was battling some kid in the crowd, and the kid had on a Kango or something. And Chris said he told the kid he wanted to be LL, and LL is whack. That's calling LL whack. Chris did say that, but then he apologized and said he was just rhyming off the top of his head. Yeah, that's what Tybo 20 said. Tybo said he said literally LL is whack. He apologized later. He did. But maybe L is still tight over that. You take that and then you throw in the Fat Joe interview. Maybe LL has just had enough, man. I don't know, though. Don't quote me on this. Next thing you know, I'm going to go viral for saying too much. Yeah, Rod Justice said Do It was by a group called Too Much. Yes, shout out to Almond Joy was the DJ. Oh my God, how can I not remember the MC? And that's my homegirl. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. LaShawn, but her name was not LaShawn when this record came out. Almond Joy and Show. She was Almond Joy. She was Almond Joy. That was her name, a shortcut. Yes. Yeah, he said LaShawn is the girl on Doing It. Yeah. And even that, there was some controversy on that because LaShawn did the vocals for Doing It. LL wrote it, but LaShawn did the vocals, and then LL wouldn't put her in the video. He went and put a video vixen in the video. And he was saying that LaShawn wasn't ready to be. He said something like LaShawn wasn't ready to be on camera or something like that, which was a tough thing to say. He said something along that lines of he needed a model. And that's along the lines of, you know, it's not Milli Vanilli, but he didn't put the girl in there that did the rhyme. See, that's what sends a lot of stuff that happens in hip hop that we blame one person to say it's whack, and it has to be whack for everything, for everybody. Derek Mallory says LaShawn from Flavor Unit. Yeah, but this is when she did Doing It, I guess, was after Flavor Unit, and her original song was before Flavor Unit. Rosmel said KRS took LL's side when he was beefing with Cannabis. Yes, which I heard, which caused that's why Cannabis had to beef with Chris because of that. That's what made Cannabis made his record. They was cool, man. I don't know what happened. I'm actually kind of sad over this. I love LL Cool J, man. I think he's a great artist and a cool dude, but Heavy Nickel, LL and KRS are cool now. I heard mofos just be starting shit. I don't know, man. This video, this thing that this what is it called again? Salute the Sample. This was like 2 weeks ago. This is like 2 weeks ago, something like that, 3 weeks ago. when this happened? You guys gotta watch it to see, man. I was saying it wasn't. My man Jetta sent me the link. I was like, nah, ain't nothing going on. I was like, you, LL and KRS are cool now, but when I saw that, I was like, maybe I'm wrong, man. Rhythm Boost President side. LL Cool J wife said she didn't speak to him for 2 weeks after she saw the Doing It video. Yeah, that was a very sexy video. I mean, LL did it up. That was one of his biggest records. That record was huge. Benny Doyle, scroll down. Rod Justice Hip Hop. We are too old for beef. Really? Yeah. I never liked beef, y'all. I've spoken to that on this channel. I never really liked beef. This is coming from the group that basically invented beef. I never liked beef, man, because I've seen the behind the scenes, and a lot of stuff happens behind the scenes, man. And Biggie and Tupac, we lost two giants, and I think hip hop never recovered from that. And I've been part of multiple BDP beefs that I haven't even spoken about on this channel. And behind the scenes, there's a lot of people could get hurt, and it's whack. It's whack when you're young, and it's super whack now when you're older. E-Money said, damn, LL didn't say one word on Salute the Sample when KRS came on. Yeah, but those of you after don't look at it now, but afterwards go back and watch that Salute the Sample and see what I'm talking about. And last week I was talking about there's no way. I was wrong. Kenny, did you see the Latin Quarter book? Chris Scott and MC Shan smiling and picking. I did see that. They were cool in '87, which I couldn't understand. I wrote about it in the book. I wrote about the encounter with KRS-One and Shan in '87 that I saw. If you don't have the book, the link is in the description below. There's a lot of BDP stories, including the origin of BDP. If you don't have the book, get the book. And I go into detail about an episode that I saw with KRS and MC Shan when The Bridge Is Over was at its peak. Scrolling. Derek Mallory said, the Jodeci Come and Talk to Me remix was released in '92. Sample from EPMD, Your Customer Be. Yeah. So I probably got the record from Biz in like '93. That was a very hard 12-inch to get at one point. Very hard 12, and I missed it, and it was gone. But Biz had a few of them. I was like, Biz, hook me up, man. Heavy Nichols said, Jack, I don't know what this is conversation. He said, Jack of Spade was a crazy beat. No way. Jack of Spade was dope. Shout out to D Nice. I do believe D Nice co-produced that record, or he gave Chris the record. D Nice had something to do with Jack of Spades. I know he co-produced. I don't know if he produced the whole thing. Did you guys know that Keenan Ivory Wayans originally asked Eric B. and Rakim to do the theme song to I'm Gonna Get You Sucker. And for some reason, either they turned it down or they couldn't do it. Something happened where Eric B. and Rakim didn't do it. And then he asked KRS, and that's how that song came about. KRS watched a rough of the movie and wrote a whole song about it. That was dope. P did that 52. Who is next up on your show? I can't say who's next up until they're actually confirmed. I thought I would have somebody confirmed for this week, but it fell through. So you guys will know. I got some very interesting people on deck. Some of the people that you guys have been talking to in the comments section, I've been able to reach out to some of them. So hold tight. But, you know, when we don't have guests, it's just us. The side one says, are you DJing for KRS still? No. I mean, once in a while, I might do some stuff with him, but I'm not his regular DJ. Shout out to Sun One, who's his regular DJ at the moment. Corey Lindsay, Kenny Parker, how difficult is it to become a producer, to become successful? Extremely difficult to make it in the music business at any level. And the word successful is an interesting word. Because what is success? Some people think if you got to go gold or platinum to be successful. I don't think so. Like I said, most albums don't sell more than 1,000 copies, 80% of them. If your album sells 100,000 copies, which is not really a big hit album, it's cool, but it's not. You could sell 100,000 copies and get dropped from your label. And 100,000 copies will put you probably in the top 90%, top 10% of all records ever made, probably in the top 5. The whole music industry is being carried by a small handful of records. Thousands and thousands of records come out every year. And like, this is even back in the day, forget now, but even back in the day, you might have 20 gold and platinum records, 20, 30 out of thousands. So when I say successful, if you make a beat or you make any project and it makes money, you make more than you spent on it, and if it enables you to get shows or get more work, that is successful. Let me give you an example. And back in 1998, I put out a battle beats record. It's just some beats that I had. I compiled them and put it on a vinyl record for DJs to cut up. The record sold, it was just vinyl only. The record sold 1,500 copies. That's it. You just put out 1,500 copies. I made about $7,000. It cost me $35 to make this album. I literally bought 2 DAT tapes, A side, B side, and each side had, I think, 6 beats. And I literally made the beats off the SP1200, saved them on a DAT, A side, B side, sent it to a distributor. I had an independent distributing deal. Sent it to the distributor. They put a cover on it and shipped it out. It sold 1,500 copies. Now, I made $7,000 and I spent $35 to make it. I think my album was incredibly successful. Now, somebody might go, you only sold 1,500 copies. That's nothing. No, that was incredible. And it was around Christmas time, too. I remember I got a check for the first check was for $5. Then the second check was for $2. I got a check around for $5 G's on Christmas for something that I spent $35 to make. To me, that's success. So if you ask how difficult is it to become a producer, become successful, it's about as difficult as it is to sell a record, which is hard, man. It's very hard. You can make beats. You got to try to get them placed. If you don't know anybody, how are you even going to get into an artist's face if you don't know anybody? Sometimes you got to go through a middleman who knows somebody, which they're going to either sign you to some bullshit production deal or take a chunk of your money or try to steal your publishing just for them to hand somebody your tape. The music business is very ugly and shisty. It's very hard. Usually to break into the game, you might get jerked for your first beat or two. I got jerked doing my first track, and it wasn't even for KRS. That's another story. I think I told it on this channel about a year ago. I did a remix for a big artist, big platinum selling artist, and got no credit. And the person that I was working with, who was my friend, got all the money. And I literally did the whole remix. But I got my feet wet. This is before I started doing beats for Chris. But I got my feet wet. So sometimes you got to pay dues. It's a whole thing. I don't want to go too deep in it, but to answer your question, how difficult? It's extremely difficult, but it can be done. And if you have good music, that helps. I hope I answered your question. I don't want to go too much into it. There's so many other questions here. This is a good question. Neville Pitts, besides Big Daddy Kane, who would you have liked to have seen KRS oppose at Versus? Well, it would have been one of his contemporaries who has a lot of records. The God Rakim would have been dope. I think KRS and LL are like apples and oranges. I don't really even think that would have been a dope Versus. They're not, even though they came out around the same time, they're not even really comparable. I would say Kane or Rakim would have been a nice Versus for KRS. So outside of Kane, I would say KRS-One would have been nice. I mean, outside of Kane, I would say Rakim would have been nice. Benny Doyle, who was the DJ that KRS was talking about, says all right in the Kenny Parker show? Oh, I know what you're talking about. I don't know. Probably just, that's a good question. I don't know the answer to that. It could have been a subliminal shot at somebody, or could have just been KRS-One just rhyming. Because that used to be, that whole song used to be a freestyle that we used to do in shows. And then it became a song. I have a whole breakdown of that song, the Kenny Parker show, on this channel. You should go back and check it out. I did it like a year ago. I go into the whole making of that song. Terrence Hill, the beats on the Heather B album is fire. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And I just spoke to Heather B today. Maybe we can get her back on the show, even though she was a problem last time she was here. But yeah, thank you for that. Oh, this is a great question. Corey Flood, you're going to have me here for an hour, bro. I have a whole theories and breakdowns on this, but I'm just going to answer your question quick. But this is a whole... Kenny, what do you think the order to making a hit? The beat, the hook, the flow, finally the lyrics? I think in that order. I think... See, I'm about to get a little winded, y'all. Let me just say this real quick. This is a great question. I love this. No one can predict a hit record. I don't care what they tell you. You look at the greatest producers in hip hop and maybe in all of music. I'm going to take Quincy Jones. You have some that's really ridiculous like Quincy, but most people, especially in hip hop, you look at their discography and you'll see out of all the records that they did, maybe 20 or 30% of the records are even records that you could recognize. Somebody might do 20 records and you might know 3 of them. There is no other genre. There is nothing else you could do in this life that if you did it 30%, you would be a star except baseball. Hitting a baseball is so hard that if you can hit a baseball 30% of the time, that's a 300 batter, you're an all-star. And if you hit 333, if you hit over 300, you in the Hall of Fame probably. Those are Hall of Fame numbers. Only thing that you could do outside of hitting a baseball that you could do 30% and still have a job, forget being good. Anything else you could do 30%, you'll get fired. But in music, you could make 10 songs and one of them could be a hit. One, and you are considered successful. You are a top producer. You can make 1 or 2 out of 10 be a hit. You are dope. You can go around and be like, yo, I made this song. And no matter what you say, I made this beat, so you got to hear me. With that being said, no one really can tell what will be a hit record. You can have an idea, you can have a feeling, but there's a lot of factors that go into it. But I think there are 2 things that just about all hit records have in common. I've been studying this for years. Like, what exactly do you need? And the answer, number 1, is the beat, the music. You have to have, every hit just about has a great track. And what I mean by a great track is not only is it a musically great track, but it's distinctive. You look at the greatest songs in history, most of them, you can recognize them by the first 2 seconds. You hear Marvin Gaye, Let's Get It On. As soon as you hear, you already know what it is. Or even rap, if you hear the Benjamins, as soon as you hear, you already know what it is. Every hit record has a beat that is not only good to the ears, but is recognizable instantaneously, and it separates itself from the rest of the pack. So, number 1 is the beat. And the reason why I say this is because how many times have you heard a record and a record was not a hit, and then somebody remixed it, took the same exact vocals and put a different beat under it, and it became a smash? How many times has that happened over the years, especially in hip hop and dance music? Same vocals, different beat, smash, and vice versa. How many times have you heard a record that was a smash and somebody remixed it and put a different beat and you was like, nah, this remix ain't it. Excuse me, it doesn't capture the flavor. The original was the one. Same vocals, different beat, changes the record completely. And so I say, number 1, if you want to have a hit record, you have got to have a dope beat that is distinctive from everything else that's playing. The only other thing that every track has in common is a catchy hook. Something that people can sing along in the chorus over and over and over and over again. There's songs I DJ in the club, especially today, but over in history. Record comes on, rappers rapping, people are just, they vibe and they love the song, but when that hook comes, the whole place explodes because they know the hook and you're waiting for the hook. And if you take that hook out of the record, that record would have not have been a hit. You put that hook in the record and it's a hit. Only exceptions in hip hop I could think of off the top of my head is like Lottie Dottie. That record didn't have a hook, just that every line in that record was basically a hook. That has to be one of the most melodic records of all time. Slick Rick, I think that's one of the great vocal performances of all time in rap. Lottie Dottie. Everything he said in that record was memorable. It didn't even need a hook. Everything he said, he was just in the pocket, because basically it was just Dougie doing the beatbox. It wasn't really even any music. It was just enough beat to keep Slick Rick on time, and he murdered that. I would say the flow is cool. That's all like gravy on seasoning. The lyrics, I would say, is definitely fourth. There's songs that I don't even know what they're saying, but the flow and the hook is so great that you'll sing along, like Bone Thugs and Harmony, Crossroads. You're lying if you're telling me you know what they said. You're lying. But great record. One of the best songs of 96, 95, 95, 96, 96, 95 and 96. There's reggae records that come on in the club. I don't know you. And I can understand reggae accents pretty well, but some of these records, I have no idea what they're talking about. But it's a hit. And I know if I don't know what they're talking about, I know most of the people that listen to this record have no idea what they're talking about. But these records are hit records. Look at that record, Shaggy, It Wasn't Me. Go back and listen to It Wasn't Me, and you tell me what Shaggy's saying. You don't know what Shaggy's talking about, but he's flowing. The flow is nice, but when it gets to the chorus, with the girl next door, it wasn't me. Everybody knows that part. So I say that to say that to me, the lyrics are probably the least. I mean, dope lyrics always helps, but I would say in that order, that to me is the order. And I think that's a great question. I hope I wasn't too winded. But I think about this a lot. Like, what makes a hit? Like when you go into the studio, everybody thinks they got a hit record, or you wouldn't spend the money. You wouldn't go in the studio unless you didn't know you had a hit. But 99% of the people that go in the studio are making something that's never going to get heard. It's that 1%. And you look at somebody who makes records, we take for granted how hard it is to make records. You see somebody like a Jay-Z or a Nas or Beyonce or Rihanna, or somebody just have hits and hits and years of multiple records. Stevie Wonder and Michael Jackson, just multiple hits. It makes it almost seem like it's easy. And we make that the standard. And we call people with one hit record a one hit wonder. I hate that term because it's derogatory. Like, they only had one hit. I don't think you only had one hit. I think that's incredible that you was able to get one. You're incredible. You got one. You're better than everybody else. So, great question. I love that question, and I would like to get more in depth with it. Corey Fudd, that's a great question, and I think the order that you have, you hit it on the head. That's just my opinion. Okay. I'm going to do the Benny Doyle scroll down, all the way down. Let's see where we're at. This just answers my. Nandy Johnson says, Salt and Pepper said that Push It was the B-side for Tramp. It was. They didn't like Push It. Never thought it would be the breakout hit it was. Million-selling song. That's what I'm talking about. A lot of times, you ever hear somebody say, how long did it take you to make this song? It took me 15 minutes. We made this song in 15 minutes, and we had no idea it was going to do what it did. Most of the time, when you go back, I love to look at like the making of songs. That's one of the things that I love, like how DJ Premier has his whole series about the making of songs. I love looking at documentaries and things of the makings of songs. And it's always the artist had no idea this was going to be the one, or some fluke thing happened that if this little fluke thing didn't happen, the song never would have been heard or never would have been made. Some little thing made the record a hit. It's so hard to make a hit record, y'all. If you could do it 20%, you'll be in the Hall of Fame. A 20% hit maker is a Hall of Fame category. There's nothing else in the world that you can do like that. Andy Johnson says, KRS referred to LL as a cultural icon. He is. I don't know what happened. Stephen Brooks. I haven't seen that. What's good, DJ Kenny Parker? What's good, Stephen Brooks? You have a bunch of comments here. I'm just Benny Doyle scrolling down until I see something. Stephen Brooks, are you a vegetarian like your brother? I'm a pescatarian because I do eat fish, like Chris. Chris eats fish. He's really a pescatarian. Joey Joe says, I want to hear LL's upcoming album produced by Q-Tip. Me too, because Q-Tip is one of my favorite artists ever. You know what? I talk all the time with how I feel about Native Tongue on this channel. And Q-Tip is one of the greatest producers ever. So I haven't had a chance to listen to it, but I will. Nandy Johnson says, she said because she was pregnant at the time. I do believe that y'all talking about LaShawn, but that's not what they were saying at the time. Because I remember LaShawn was very upset, and there was like a whole controversy because LL would not put her in the video. I mean, she wasn't saying she was pregnant. She was saying that LL told her no. Now maybe now she's saying she was pregnant. Shout out to LaShawn, by the way. I haven't seen her in years, but she's mad cool. Corey Lindsay, Kenny Parker, remember the Kool Moe Dee LL Cool J classic battle? Of course I do. I actually saw them almost battle. Give y'all guys a quick story. 1988. This is when How You Like Me Now was at its peak. Well, no, it was just dying down because Wild Wild West was at its peak. So How You Like Me Now, all that was out. And I do believe Jack the Ripper was out. And there was a tour called the Dope Jam Tour, which was Ice-T, Biz Markie, Boogie Down Productions, Dougie Fresh, Kool Moe Dee, Eric B. and Rakim. And Kool Moe Dee was performing. I was on the side of the stage watching the show. And who shows up? I forgot what city it was, but LL Cool, this is in front of 20,000, packed arena. LL Cool J comes out of nowhere. And I don't know how he got on stage, but LL comes on the stage. And I remember Kool Moe Dee was he might have been doing Wild Wild West because he was doing his dances, Wild Wild West, and he had his dances. Shout out to Sammy and all the dancers from Kool Moe Dee. They were doing their dances, Wild Wild West, and LL comes on the stage and he's on the side. He's standing. They got the Kango on. He's standing there just looking at Kool Moe Dee in front of everybody. And Kool Moe Dee is Wild Wild West, and he's doing the rhymes to Wild Wild West, and LL is standing right there. And I remember Kool Moe Dee turned to him and said, "Boy, you keep standing there. We're going to do this for real." And everybody said, "Woo," like that. But nothing ever became of it. L just stood there for a while, then he walked off. So I guess he was just like wanting everybody to like see that he was in the building, but They did not battle, but I was standing right there watching the whole thing like, oh, this might be history, but it wasn't. So yeah, to answer your question, I do remember that. Crusher Blackwell, when Lil C did a remake of Superhole and Bad Boy sampled South Bronx for the hit, no one else but Total the Brat that care about. Did BDP get any royalties on those classics? You would have to ask Chris that question, but I would honestly say no. B-Boy Records owns all of the publishing and they own the publishing, mechanical rights, royalties. KRS and Scott LaRock got no money from that album. Zero. They got jerked. And that bad deal that they signed cost them millions of dollars. Millions of dollars. So the answer to that question is I'm pretty sure they didn't get any royalties or publishing on there, but you would have to ask Chris, but I'm pretty confident that the answer to that question is no. Ilroy says, Kenny, you got the AC on today? Yes, I do. As you see, I have my watch, but I'm not really wiping like I was last week. Last week, I forgot to cut the AC on, and I was hurt. MMA Crossfire. It's simple, Kenny. Just bring LL on and address it. Yeah. Although, looking at this video, you guys got to watch it. I doubt LL would come on here. Betty Doyle, Kenny, best slice in the Bronx? Yes. Yes. Bug says LaShawn was pregnant during the making of the video. Maybe she was. But at the time, that's not what she was saying. She was saying she should have been in that video. I remember that. There was a whole controversy over that. Mike Rock 25, yeah, it was you. KP, you got me feeling bad for bringing the podcast to your attention last week. Don't be sad. It was you. Yes, it was that asked me the question. I, at the time, didn't know what I was talking about. And it does make me sad. Like I said, I love LL Cool J, and I respect him tremendously. And, you know, if he has a problem with my brother, I'm not even calling my brother. If he has a problem, if LL Cool J has a problem with KRS-One, I would think that I hope they work that out. Because it would be whack. But LL's response to that on that video shows that he definitely, because he could have handled it any number of ways. The way he chose to handle it made me think that he definitely was making a statement. So I hope it just stays there and just be there, and that just be the end of it. Corey Flood says, LaShawn was not pretty enough to be in the video with LL Cool J, just to be honest. I don't know about that. I think if I did the song, I should be in the video. You know, that's the same thing, like, you know, the controversy with CNC Music Factory. Remember the Everybody Dance Now? The girl from the Weather Girls, who was a big girl, they wouldn't put her in the video, and they put a model in the video. And her voice is in a few records that they did not use. They took her voice from a demo and chopped it up and put it in like 2 or 3 big, huge records, but they would not put her in the video because she wasn't pretty enough. Or she didn't fit the mold. The same with the girl who made Pump Up the Jam, Pump It Up. The girl that's in that video going Pump Up the Jam is not the girl who made the record. The girl who made the record's name is Ya Kid K. She would have had a whole different career if she was put in the video. We never got to see what she looked like. So she never had another hit. She probably would have had a better career if she was in the video. So LaShawn was good enough to make the record, but she wasn't good enough to be in the video. I mean, they could have worked around it, to me. Or who am I to say? The record worked itself. The record was a huge hit. The girl was beautiful in the video. So, you know, it is what it is. But I just want, if I make something dope, man, I want to be in it. I want people to know it's me. LaShawn basically got nothing for that record. She didn't write the song. She did the vocals brilliantly. Was never in the video. Probably got no royalties, no career off of it. LL got everything off of that. LL's still doing this record to this day, and it still shuts down when he does it. I don't know. That's just an opinion. I mean, I see where you're coming from, but wow, we're at an hour and 21, y'all. We just sitting here talking. I appreciate everybody that's hanging in there with me. This is the DJ Kenny Parker Show. We do this every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hit the like button if you haven't. Thank you. I'm going to go a little while longer because I like just talking to you guys. I love these questions. Supreme Divine says, I love KRS-One and Cool J no matter what. Me too. Me too. Scrolling down, y'all. I'm going to try to find a couple of things I could talk about on here. I remember this controversy. LL wasn't able to do EPMD's Rampage video, and they had to replace him with a lip-syncing lookalike for the video. No, but I do remember that he wasn't able to do it. Then at the last minute, if I heard the story correctly, they had a lookalike prepared to rhyme behind the curtain because LL wasn't going to be able to make it. But then at the last minute, he did show up. But they put him behind the curtain anyway because they thought it was a dope look, kind of mysterious. I do remember, if that's, go back and check that. I do remember that was the story, if I recall. MMA Crossfire says, Kenny, you have to bring LL on now. Did you see the video? Eric Best said doing it was 3 times platinum. I know the album was like double. You know what? 3 million records sold. That's a huge record, man. That's a huge record. Shout to LaShawn. I mean, that was her original record. They took the same sample that she did the original Wild Thing. They took her same flow. They took her same hook. That was her concept. LL took it. We worked it. He wrote some dope ass lyrics to it. But at the same time, I wonder what she got from that record. I wonder what she got off of that record. Not just royalties, but did it help her out? I doubt it. Sorry, y'all, I'm just scrolling. Yeah, T-Boy said, not true. LL was in the Rampage video. He was just behind the curtain. Yeah. But they originally thought he wasn't going to be there. Let me scroll down a little bit. I'm going to go all the way down. I'm just jumping comments. I'm just going to go all the way down. Rod Justice Hip Hop. If a hit record could be predicted, all records would be hits. A hit record is like playing a lottery. It really is. I mean, it's like playing the lottery, but you have some control. But even look at artists, look at gigantic artists who have a track record, household names, Anything they do is going to be on the radio across the world. They have unlimited budgets. They can get any guest star they want. They can even get people as dead. They can go back and get their lyrics and get the acapellas. They can do anything they want. They have all of those resources, and they put out an album and it still does. That's how hard it is to make a hit record. I don't want to keep harping on it, but it's really hard. You see anybody with a hit, even a minor hit, like I've been blessed to be part of records. Like I've seen artists have a minor hit record, like a hit rap song. It didn't go to like the pop charts or it didn't go big on the R&B charts, but it was a nice rap song. I mean, it played on rap radio, got some spins here and there, big in the clubs. A record like that will change your whole life. Your whole life. Just a record like that. Or think about those reggae records, y'all. Like, you know, everybody jump on the same rhythm. Dumb reggae guys, those records don't sell that much. Those Jamaican records. Most of them back in the day in the 90s, they were all on like vinyl only. They didn't sell that much, but those records were huge in the clubs. Them reggae guys toured the whole world singing those records. You might catch one like Murder, She Wrote that went gold, or like Flags, Time to Have Sex. One of them kind of records will go gold, but all the rest of those reggae records were really confined to like reggae and clubs. And even that was a hit. Even that is hard to do. It's extremely difficult, man. Archie Angel 10. What's up, Kenny? I was getting twisted and forgot you were on. I'm here now. Thank you so much for checking in late. Every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Let's go. Scrolling down. Wax Prophetic. Respectfully, majority of all hits are predicted by the record label's execs. They will sign groups just to shelf them, so the groups they choose is the heat. I can't say. I don't know. Are predicted by the record labels. They can't predict. What they can predict is how much money they're going to spend to make a record in the machine. They can say, we're going to spend X. They have a formula which they can spend X amount of money will probably get you X amount of sales. So they will spend X amount of money on a certain artist or not spend on other artists, depending. And they can say, well, if we spend $1 million, we could probably get this record to a certain level. That's because they spend the money, not because they know a record is going to be a hit. Look how much money they spend on records that don't hit. Look how many records that be in your face for like 3 weeks, especially in today's market. Record comes out, it's in your face for 3 weeks, and then it's gone. The fact that record was in your face for 3 weeks means they spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to get it to that level, and then it disappears. And then you have a record that just comes out of nowhere and just be boom. And, you know, they will shelf groups because what they do is they'll sign a bunch of stuff and just throw everything against the wall and see what sticks. I'll give y'all a quick story. I had an artist who was signed to MCA Records, huge label. And I used to go up to the marketing department where they had all the vinyl and just take vinyl for myself. So I went into the room. They had this huge like conference room, and along the wall were stacks of records that you could just they can just grab and put in an envelope and mail out. So Each stack was a different artist. I counted literally like 20 artists across the wall, stacks of records, 20 different artists that was signed to MCA Records. And I was a DJ, DJing in the clubs. And I consider myself at that a pretty knowledgeable hip hop person. I didn't know any of these groups. I knew like one or two of them out of 20. And these are the groups that made this is a major label. All across the wall. I'm looking at this, I'm like, wow, these people are signed and they're not getting heard. They're gonna get dropped in another few months. There was like 20 of them. All of them groups you never heard of, man, signed to major labels. Just because you get a record deal doesn't even mean you're gonna have a hit. That's just one hurdle just to get a deal. My brother told me something years ago, and I didn't understand what he meant until years later. He said, you know, Kenny, when you sign to a label, that's the first part. Then you got to rock the record company. I mean, I said, what do you mean rock the record company? Why would they sign you if they wasn't going to put you out and they weren't behind you? He's like, no, you have to convince the record company, other people, the execs, the marketing department, promotions, all you have to convince them that your project is worth putting in the effort. You have to rock the record. You have to do stuff on your own. You have to do showcases. You have to come up to the office and talk to everybody. Like you have to literally sell yourself to the label after you get signed. I thought that was ridiculous. I was like, Chris, you're bugging. I'm telling my brother he's bugging and he knows better than me. And I was telling him he was bugging. And years later, as I got more into the music business and working with these labels, I understood what he meant. You could be on a label and be in a graveyard about to be buried and be signed. Or you could be about to get shelved. They call that getting shelved. It happens, man. Let me scroll down. Gargan Flug, where you been? I see you put up Black Sheep, the choice is yours. I guess you're talking about remixes. Yes. And this is a good example of Black Sheep, the choice is yours. Shout out to Mr. Long on the production. That's the class. If that record did not get remixed, probably would have just been an album cut, and that would have been the end of it. Instead, it was one of the biggest records of the year, and it's still getting shows and playing commercials and everything. Jingling Baby, another example. Same lyrics, different beat. Happens all the time. That's why I say the beat is, here's another, you guys are coming with examples of what I was saying before. Nappy Heads, prime example. Prime example. That record saved the Fuji. If Nappy Heads, who did that record? Salam. Salam Remy. Shout out to Salam Remy. That's my dude. If Nappy Heads, if Salam Remy, they didn't do a remix to Nappy Heads, I believe the Fugees would have gotten dropped and they never would have done the score. We never would have got the score and we never would have got the Miseducation Law. We never got none of that. They would have got dropped. And you'd be like, you remember that group who made that song? You got the vocab. We got the vocab. That was their single. We got the vocab. I think that album didn't sell any. That album was a commercially not successful. They were about to get dropped. And they did one more, they gave one more shot and Nappy Heads and boom. There's so many examples of this. Gargan Flex says Triumph has no hook. That is true. That's an exception to the rule. Great beat. And you wanted to hear Wu-Tang Clan. You wanted to hear all the members, so it kept your attention. I would argue right now, if that record had a hook, like "Ooh Baby, I Like It Raw," if that record Triumph had that hook, it would have been 5 times bigger. It would have been one of the biggest records of the year. And I'd say if you took Shimmy Shimmy Ya and took off "Ooh Baby, I Like It Raw," you never would have heard that record. Cassette James, what's good? Says, "I Ain't No Joke" by Rakim is a good example. I guess that could be a record that did not have a hook, but was a hit. Absolutely. Rakim's vocal performance that's one of the great vocal performances of all time on that record. Actually, Rakim didn't have no hooks on that whole first album. Hold on a second. Eric B. for President didn't have a hook. Check Out My Melody. Check Out My Melody. That's not really a hook. I mean, it's a hook, but that Paid in Full didn't have a hook. I'm Paid in Full. That didn't have a hook. I can't remember all the songs. I know You Got Soul. You didn't win being here, being here. Kind of a hook. That album didn't really have that many hooks. It was the music and the God. I'm gonna do a couple. We had an hour and 37. All right, y'all. I'm gonna do a couple more, and I'm getting off. Let me do the Benny Doyle scroll. I'm gonna do a couple more, and I'm gonna get off, man. Trick said Missy said she didn't like Get Your Freak On, but Timbaland convinced her to put it on her album, and that was the last song she recorded for the album. Exactly. These are all examples. You can go down the list. There's a million of them. There's a million stories like that. One of the biggest records of her career. I like this. I like this comment. I'm gonna comment on this, and then I'm gonna get off. I think they say one hit wonder because after that one, they expect more to come, and when it doesn't, they call them that just from the fact that they dismiss the people. And see, but that's a misconception. You expect more based on that artist's talent, but it's still incredibly difficult, and that's my argument. You think because they made this song, they should be capable of making 2 or 3 more, but it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work. Sometimes you might get one. I mean, I can go deeper into this, but I'm not. But maybe another time, we can really go into that because Gregory Netta said, "Yo, Kenny, people try to say Biz Markie was a one-hit wonder, but the Vapors was made." Biz Markie is on VH1 one-hit wonders. Biz is a one-hit wonder, but to the pop world, he only had one record. But we know Biz was gold the year before he made Just a Friend. All right, y'all, I'm going to get off, and I'm going to check out the comments. Thank you guys so much for checking out the DJ Kenny Parker Show. We do this every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to look at some of these comments. Thank you so much, you guys, for listening to my rants. I'm going to get off and look at some of these comments, and that's it. All right, there's so many comments I didn't even get to. I hate that. I wish I could get to everybody's comments, y'all, but I just can't. Somebody start. Ilroy, thank you so much. I really appreciate your contribution to the channel. Thank you so much. We appreciate you, and I appreciate you back. Thank you so much. And I'm going to get off on that note. I'll catch you guys next week. God willing. Peace.